Hello, 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 everyone. You are tuning in to another QuickWits interview. This is Cassandra Edwards, the founder of the Chosen Few Financial Empowerment and Wellness Workshops. This is a QuickWits interview, which is just a small, quick interview with one of our business friends, someone who's in our business relationship community. And today we are here with the incomparable Colin Hill. How you doing,
Wow,
Colin? What's up, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm so excited to have you on today for you to drop this knowledge on our friends because what you specialize in is a little bit of everything that a lot of people probably don't even know they need, right?
Right.
So let's okay, I'm gonna go down here. Y'all know I like to get creative with names, okay? But Colin is he's an innovative attorney, but he's known as a business psychologist. What does that mean?
Right. So I work with a lot of businesses from formation to funding. So businesses that are very young, entrepreneurs, and bigger businesses that need a lot of compliance help. For those smaller businesses, I work with them to make sure that they don't get in trouble later on by forming their structure or having an operating agreement that doesn't spell out everything that they need. Because a lot of companies break up due to greed or bad documentation. And you want to make sure that all of your documents are in alignment so that when your partners come to a disagreement, you can point to it and say, no, this is how we operate, and
Right.
let's move forward.
Right. And that's important because you know how it is. You go to high school with some buddies, you go to college together, you're like, you know what, man, we should start a business. And then somebody tries to change the rules mid game.
Oh yeah, I've actually got a good story about that. I was working with one of my friends that I knew since first grade, and his grandmother had put some money into a deal that we were doing, and he wasn't exactly sure what we were doing because it was his first deal, and we were purchasing a property, just one to flip, and he got talked into getting a merchant services account. And the machinery at the bank, which was going to end up costing thousands of dollars. And I didn't find out about it because I had to be at court for one of my clients. Came back, everything was signed. A year later, they called me because we sold the house. They called me and we were closing up the bank account and said, y'all owe $3,000 to $4,000. And I was like, no, we don't. You need to look at our agreement because it says that I have to sign off on everything that my business partner signs off on. And they were like, that's not correct. That's not true. And I was like, well, please show it to me and I'll send you the agreement that I sent you. And they called me back and apologized and said, well, your business partner was supposed to, we'll hold him accountable then. And I said, well, you can't because you have the agreement that I gave you and you should have read the agreement knowing that you would have had to have my signature too. So you're taking advantage of him and you're not allowed to do that. And they, again, talked to their legal department, called back and said, sorry, you're right. Never mind. So
Sorry to bother you today, Mr. Hill.
yeah, it saved a lot of money and a lot of hassle. And it was just because we had the right language and we knew that there could be some issues in setting up the company because I may have to be gone when something was set up. And it was his first deal. And I wasn't sure that he would get suckered by something that the bank was doing or a good salesman or something like that. And I wanted to make sure that we both had control over the deal and that it wouldn't get messed up by a slick salesman.
Okay. We were having a little bit of technical difficulty just now, but I heard what you said. You sounded like I'm trying to remember what that sounds like to me, but it froze up for a minute. But you said you didn't want to take a chance that he was going to get caught up with a slick salesman, somebody trying to pull the wool over his eyes or something like that, right?
Right. Yeah. We just wanted to make sure that he didn't get tricked by a slick salesman or anything like that. And a lot of times, you will have people in companies that your business needs to work with, and they're selling you something. So it may not necessarily be the best thing for you. It's a lot of times the best thing for them. And you have to make sure that what you're getting into is mutually beneficial as opposed to one-sided. And sometimes some business partners aren't the best at business and they're better at accounting, or they're better at sales and not the best at looking through documents. So you want to make sure that you know who your founders are and you know how they're going to operate in circumstances.
Right. And I mean, oh, I'm echoing. Okay. We're going to try it. I'm going to keep going through and hopefully it'll straighten out. But I can think of a million scenarios where, somebody just has a bright idea and, someone like me will say, hey, look, just start the business. Stop overthinking it. Just go get a business license. Make sure you're good with whatever regulatory system,
Right.
or regulatory entity there is in your industry. Just go and get your license. Just do it. Because we push people into entrepreneurship. And
Right.
I love entrepreneurship. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 11 years old, but there's so much trouble you can get into by what you don't know.
Yes, I would say that it is good to be cautiously in a hurry when you're an entrepreneur. You want to take chances, you want to take risks, but you want to do it in a way that you're protected. And that's like I also recently helped a company that was just starting. They were wanting to be called a certain name, and I looked up at the patent office and did a common law trademark search just to make sure that they were able to have the name and protect their branding. And I saw that someone in Florida had a very similar name, and I called them. They said, I'm not sure it's too big of a problem. Y'all can go ahead with it, but I don't think it's too big of a problem as long as y'all are doing different services than we are. And they were somewhat similar, but they weren't too similar. Mm-hmm. I recommended that we change the name just because I felt a little uneasy about it. And 3 months later, that the owner of the other company called back and said, y'all aren't using that name, are you? Because I want to make sure that no one's using that. And if we do, basically a little threatening. And I was like, it's not being used. We changed the name because that person would have had a right to go after my client and get money that she had made off of her product, or make her change her name in the middle of her success, which would be really bad for a brand. So there's just a lot of things that you need to think about when you're building a brand or you're wanting to go to market, and you want to go to market as quick as possible because that's the best way that you beat everyone out. You want to capture as much market, but you want to do it and you want to know that your brand is going to be sustainable and it's going to beat out other brands. So you just want to make sure about that. And it's good to have a good attorney, watching your back.
Absolutely. So I wanted to talk a little bit about your, I'm going to show I didn't get your email address, your website. I don't think I got your website. That's all right. I'll work on that. What is it? It's hillinnovativelaw.com.
hillinnovativelaw.com.
All right. I don't know how I forgot that, but so I would love for you to tell our viewers about your education, because you were telling me about your education experience the other day, and it just blew me away. I was like, wait, we need to be recording this right now. So if you would go over that, and because when people say, "Oh, I got a lawyer," lawyers have different specialties. So I guess you could have like a personal injury lawyer, and then it's your uncle or somebody, but you get into a situation and you go, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna call my uncle. I don't need to spend money on that." How could that affect things? Well, let's go back. Let's do your education experience first.
Right. So I think that some of my education also comes from how I grew up too. So if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So I was born in Tampa, and then we moved to New York, Hong Kong, Thailand, and back to Atlanta before first grade. Wow. I knew that in first grade, I either wanted to be a professional football player or a lawyer/business person, and I couldn't gain any weight, and I was just pretty fast, so football was out. And I grew up around a lot of entrepreneurial people, so I was always interested in business and what they were doing and the law surrounding it. I am from Atlanta. I can practice business law anywhere. I went to a high school, Woodward Academy, and then I went to Auburn University, and I went to Cumberland, which is a very good trial school, but I was never really interested in going to trial. I was more interested in transactions.
Hmm.
I'm very thankful that I went to that school, though, because I've been to trial for clients, and it is a very useful and good skill to have. And it's also very helpful in creating documents and setting up companies because you know the pitfalls.
Yes.
Um, After that, I got a master's of law degree at Duke for entrepreneurship, and I got a securities background and intellectual property law from Duke. So I have a lot of education, and I loved schooling, so I didn't have a problem with it.
Well, that makes you a rare gem for a lot of people because although I'm a complete nerd, I tell anybody I'm a nerd, and I love that about myself because I love learning. That's a part of why I do these interviews with people. But I think it's important to just be educated because that makes you empowered. You
Right.
know, if you don't know, then you're already setting yourself up for failure just by not knowing because someone else knows more than you do and they know exactly how to take advantage of you.
Right. And education, I mean, that comes from curiosity. So you can learn as much as you want. And we're lucky now that we have Google and we have different learning platforms on the internet where we can learn a lot of different information pretty quick. But obviously we want to make sure that it's proper and right information. But yeah, I think that education is a great thing if you're learning it on your own or if you're not. So it's just an amazing thing to continue your education even after you're done with school and throughout life.
Absolutely. And I mean, just by the fact that, and I'm not even sure where I heard it first, but somewhere along the way over my career, I've tried to do everything. I tried to learn everything that I was passionate about. I'm going to buy a book for this. I'm going to sit up and study that. I'm going to get this license. I'm going to try that field. And what I quickly found out was that I'm much better at being the connector. So I'm a professional connector and business advocate, but I know enough about enough different fields to know what they're saying and who I need to connect them with. So all that being said, I know you're a person that every single entrepreneur I know needs to be aware of and know what it is you do. So, would you give us a couple of examples of some of the projects you worked on
Right.
over your career?
Right. Yes. So I knew when I was coming out of law school that I was going to create a real estate company. And so I created my law firm at the same time. But that real estate company became a public company, and we were working with people in the low income single family housing market because a third of the population could not get traditional financing. They
Mm-hmm.
couldn't get a mortgage from a bank, and we were working with people to help fix their credit and get them into homes in a way that they weren't able to using traditional markets. We got up to 350 homes, and then the market went crazy, and it was impossible to buy homes for a good price. So we've sold a lot, and we're looking to repurpose that company. And I've also worked with a lot of technology companies. Recently, a it's kind of a robo company. So they create a platform to help sales professionals in finance, or they're in the PPE space too. So masks and anything that protects you from COVID-19, so that it basically brings in your customer and helps self-populate information so that they know exactly what you need to buy, and it basically makes their sales process a lot quicker.
That makes a lot of sense. And it's funny that you mentioned that you used to work with low income and helping people to get into houses that weren't traditionally able to get them. So I'm working on a project right now. This is what I was alluding to earlier before we got on the air. Was that I'm actually doing a project with a gentleman by the name of Jamal Lockhart, and we're partnering with a shipping container home company. So they own their land, they own their machines and everything, and they can pump them out in quick order. So
Right.
we're actually right now beginning to build affordable housing across the country. So we're
That's
working with all kind of nonprofits, investors, people who want to move into these properties. Whether we're talking about a home for runaway teens, battered women. people who are just, with the COVID culture now, I mean, we're about to face a serious housing crisis.
Right.
And if we don't think ahead, like Wayne Gretzky says, don't look where the puck is, look where it's going.
Yep.
So, in that spirit, we're anticipating that coming along. And I know you're going to be an integral part in us making sure that that's done the right way and
Yep.
that we stay in front of any issues that we may that we may come upon later, and that I don't know, I'm just really excited about what we're doing with that.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Yeah, you've got technology and real estate aspects in that are awesome, and then you're going to have some zoning and compliance stuff too. But that's a big deal, and people really need that right now. So that's really exciting. I'm looking forward to helping on that.
Yeah, so I'm glad you're actually the first of my business associates that I've told. So when they see your video, they'll be hearing about it for the first time. The winner, the winner. All right. So let me see. So let me ask you this. This is one of the questions I'm starting to ask all of my interviewees.
Okay.
What was the best piece of business advice you ever got, and who did it come from?
Right. So
I kind of put you on the spot there.
no, that's a really good question. So I'm not sure if this is exactly business advice, but I had worked with my dad early on because he did a lot of bringing companies public when I was younger and when I was growing up. So he was very good at helping us with the real estate company, and I learned a lot through him. But I think what I learned most was that you can relax, because even though it looks like some things may not be on time, it's going to work out. And I remember I was working on a deal, and I was kind of stressed out about it. And I called him and I was talking to him, and he's like, it's going to be fine. It's a good deal. They want the deal to happen and you want the deal to happen. Just because
Yes.
it's a couple days late or anything like that, it's going to be okay. And I was like, I remember when I was younger, I was just so much more stressed about everything. And I'm already OCD about being on time or doing things as soon as I can. So
Yes.
it's being on time and locking things are my two OCDs. I have to make sure that I'm on time, and that if I'm leaving something, I'm like, the door's locked. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure I locked that door. That's good.
Oh man, tell me about it. I locked my
But
keys in my car 4 times in the same week one time, so I think I got a little PTSD from that. So I'm
yeah,
like, no locking doors inside the car. Get the key fob. Bink, bink. Oh, we good. Okay. I
that's
feel you. I feel where you
yeah.
coming from, Colin.
Yeah, but he helped me out with that, and then always just being really precise. So I've had some instructors and some friends and family who have been so like if a word or a comma or anything is out of place, then and I continue to see it out of even really large companies and things like that something will be incorrect, or they'll send me an NDA in Word where I can change it how I want. And I'm like, you're getting paid $400,000 to do your job, and you're sending me this in Word when it should be in PDF, because I could change this however I want.
Wow.
And you want to make sure that, I'm redlining it properly and doing all this. And I notified them and was like, hey, you may want to do it this way next time, whatever. But people just don't think about the little things sometimes, which can really hurt people or mess up their business or their business partner or their clients.
Wow.
And it can be just the smallest thing, which I'm glad that I had people who were constantly saying, rework that, think about it a little bit harder. Think about things from different perspectives. Always think about things from the other side's perspective, and make sure that you're covering every base possible.
Awesome. That's man. That's you know. I think about that as, and I'm always collecting information, collecting advice, because as an entrepreneur, if you're really aware and keyed into what you got going on with your business, you realize that now is the time where you absolutely got to be the best you can be. Doesn't mean you have to be perfect, because none of us is perfect.
Right.
But if you're aware of it, then you can do better. And
Yes.
then, so if we don't educate ourselves and we're not aware of the areas that we have deficits. So I really appreciate you bringing out that point. So
Yeah.
so let me ask you this: when you started your educational career, did you already have the end in mind? Are you doing exactly what you wanted to do when you began, or did what you're doing now did you kind of morph into that with something else in mind at first?
So yeah, since first grade, and I got recruited to play football at a little private school, a little college, and I was like, I'm never gonna make a living off of that, and I want to keep my brains, intact, and I already played enough football that
If you forgot a couple of things, you like, yep, that's enough. I'm
yeah,
good.
I'm sure I forgot enough. But yeah, no, I knew that I wanted to be a lawyer and in business and help people that were creating business, because I am passionate about creating business that is beneficial and creates positive change for our community and our society, because I feel like you can affect a lot more people through a good business than you can like one-off litigation, and I've helped people with personal injury, and I usually do a few a year to help family and friends, just
Mhm.
because I was doing everything when I was starting off. But I've specialized in business and intellectual property. But I think that, as opposed to helping one person with something like that, you can make a huge change by creating a business, and I think that that's just so cool.
Absolutely, absolutely. So um sorry, I got my son and his girlfriend coming in. So what would you say, out of all the cases you work with, and I know you can't give us too many details, but as we wrap up, I want to ask you, is there any one case that stood out to you that made you really know, man, I got it done. This is my purpose. This is a prime example. This is an epitome of what I wanted to do when I started out. Got to have the cat photo bomb. That's like a trademark or something. Rice has got to make an appearance.
I saw That's awesome. So I've had a couple. One where I was so that one where I was talking about earlier with my friend, when the bank basically said you're right, and I was like, okay, so I just basically beat up on a bank, and there it was a very large bank, and it was just me doing the right thing. And then I've had some really good negotiations that went well, but I did have a really good case against a big firm in Atlanta, and I was helping a client that had a broken contract. They had a sale, and then the person backed out, although they agreed.
Hmm.
And the law firm called me and said, you know, you're going to lose, and we're going to make you pay all the fees, blah, blah, blah. And it was something that it had to do with bankruptcy law, because their client had an issue with bankruptcy, but I knew that it was more of a business matter than that, and they were just trying to reframe it.
Hmm.
And so they told me that, and I kind of laughed, and I was like, okay, well, we'll go to court. That's fine. And I sued them, and it wasn't that big of a case. So it was in small claims court, and they removed it to federal, so that they were like, we're going to go real big. And I said, all right. So I filed something. The judge agreed with me and knocked it back down to where we want it to be. And they called me and said, we know you were probably waiting on this call, but do you, like, our client wants to settle with your client? And I
I'm
was
like,
like,
yeah, I thought you might.
great,
I
yes.
thought you might.
I was like,
Right.
I'll call you back in a week. And they're like, in a week? And I was like, yeah, I'll call you back in a week. You'll hear from me. Don't worry about it. And I met one of the attorneys who I was in the case against, who called me and was like, we're going to have you pay legal fees and everything like that. And I saw him out with some family members, and he came up and he was like, you know, you you just whooped us that time. And I felt so proud about it. And
Yes.
I was like, I didn't know that you saw it that way. I felt really good about the case. And he was like, yeah, no, that was really good. And I was like, okay, good. Yeah, I'm glad
Wow.
I am doing what I thought that I wanted to do, and it's working out. So
That's exciting. I just think you're like definitely one of the top people that everyone I know needs on their team. So I want to make sure they know how to get in touch with you. I'm gonna scroll back through your banners again here real quick.
well, thank
So
you.
again, you guys, if you know you were trying to be lazy and you skipped to the middle of the interview, don't worry about it. It's cool. So this is Colin Hill, Esquire of Hill Innovative Law. He is He's an innovative attorney, also known as the business psychologist, because he gets in there and sees what's going on, you guys. Comes up with a diagnosis and gives you the prescription. So he's your guy that you really need involved in your business. His website, oh, wait a minute, website's down here, www.hillinnovativelaw.com. And you can send him an email. He's an email guy, so you guys send him an email and he will get right back to you at colin@hillinnovativelaw.com, or you can call him directly. This is his number here, 404-394-4342. Colin, thank you so much for being with me today. I keep telling people, I mean for him to be 5 minutes, but we already knew this was going to be way over 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, it's always a pleasure talking to you, and I'm happy to talk to anybody who wants more information, or if they just have a question about anything legal and I can possibly help them out. Happy to do that, and happy to talk more with you in the future about what you're doing. Some big things.
Absolutely. Maybe we'll get together and see if we do a regular thing, like a question and answer thing. And
Yes.
we'll like stream live on Facebook and people can type in their questions. They'll pop up like Gary Vee show.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. I'll have to start off by saying the famous attorney line that this is not legal advice and don't take it as legal advice, but then say what I think is is the right.
Right. In your professional opinion.
Yes, yes.
And then say to make sure that you get it right, then you just retain Colin and make sure that it gives you all the detailed information.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. I appreciate you. If you're watching this and you go, you know what, I need some exposure like this, I do a 3 to 5 minute quick wits interview, which looks just like this, and you'll be on my YouTube channel. And I do that with like-minded entrepreneurs. If you need to get in touch with me, my number is 803-238-0974. You can also check out my website at www.chosenfewworkshops.us. Or you can just comment on this video. I do respond to all comments. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Look forward to hearing from you. Thank you again, Colin. I appreciate you so much and talk to you soon.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thanks. You too, buddy.
Take care.